Hey, buddy. Okay, here we go. So, lights, music, action, cue, dry ice, earbuds, earmuffs. Yeah, God save us all. Here you go.
What about Black Panther?
Drink up.
Wait, are you like saying Black Panther?
Well, you also have to remember Alpha and Omega is not limited to gender. You can have an alpha female, an Omega man too.
Oh, then I'd have to go with Miss Marvel.
Oh, as an alpha? Yeah. We're gonna go on her internal work.
Oh, dude, getting topped by Captain Marvel.
Yeah. Oh, dude, she just who's
she gives Brie Olsen.
I hate Brie Olsen. She just gives me like.
What's wrong with Brie Olsen?
She just gives me the vibe of just like she's gonna like be like, oh hey, how's it going? I hate you. Like as soon as you leave the room, she's like, I fucking hate that guy.
She's a little.
I feel like she would say,
smirky,
"I hate you" to your face.
I think so too.
I'll give her that credit.
Now, I'm sorry, Sally. Real quick, remind me of the hierarchy here if we're talking about it.
We are. Don't jump the gun. We're really. We got to get into the saucy stuff.
Strap in.
Yeah.
We're in it, man.
I'm just saying. Everybody's saying Alpha, Omega.
Just ride.
I have printouts and I have.
You got flashcards? Cool.
We're gonna learn today. We're gonna learn.
Is there a PowerPoint presentation for this?
So we have to know the framework to understand why Addison Cain, which is a pen name, and I do know her real name, and I'm gonna save it for later. She's
cool.
Marsha Blackburn.
J.K. motherfucking Rowling.
Actually, hang on. That's a good point. Like, famous authors could be writing fan fiction under a different surname.
Just to make some dirt cheap money real quick,
Yeah.
you know?
I wonder if there's an author like, hey, I'm going to write this before you do. You read those YouTube comments. Oh, you should have did this. You should have did that. And like, you know what? I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just going, like, trolling YouTube comments for story ideas.
Yeah.
I bet you there are.
So I'm going to explain this framework because this is the basis of what Addison Cain was using to steal millions of dollars from people and ruin careers. This ruined careers.
All right.
Right? Okay. So we're going to start off with the basic terms. ABO. This was the original name for the alternative universe that's known as the Omegaverse. It stands pretty basic for Alpha, Beta, Omega. This framework can be applied to anywhere, just like we talked about the Marvel Universe. The term is interchangeable with Omegaverse. It's just easier to say that than ABO. However, depending on how the story goes, we do have variations, and we sometimes see delta, gammas, and sigmas fall under this term. It depends on the writer, really. It's very fluid. So we have alphas. They're the highest ranking. They are protective in nature and can be very aggressive. Their personality traits separate them greatly. It's physical, it's philosophical, it's theory, it's theology, basically. They are powerful, ultimate beings. You know when they walk in the room, they're an alpha. And they have something that's called a knot. Remember that word, a knot. K-N-O-T. So alphas are known to give a strong, musky scent because they secrete it from their glands. They can also smell like different spices. Do you guys want to know? Or do you have a guess of what kind of spice you want it to smell like?
I'm thinking like jalapeno or like habanero pepper or something like that.
Like cumin spices? Or like...
Yeah, like ground spices.
I'm brown sugar for sure.
Brown sugar.
There you go. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like cumin was a little on the nose.
I mean, I just feel like it's use it with a lot of meats, it's very earthy, I'm not reading this stuff. Stop looking at me. No.
He was a spicy Mexican.
I'm just saying add an
smelling like adobo
powder.
The cumin humans. I don't know what you're...
So these scent and spices can induce something called a heat in omegas that arouses them. And when it comes to reproducing, it seems that the alpha is always going to be on top because of the purposes of knotting, which we'll get into, right? You want to be on top, logistically speaking. So a knot is a bundle of nerves found at the base of an alpha's penis. The muscle expands when the alpha is close to expanding. That knot is then pushed into the omega. So you have to think of it as an orange that you're really fisting into a hole to lock yourself in.
Jesus.
Once that is locked in, you cannot pull it out. Right? Together... Yeah.
The camera has to.
Thank you, Grant.
Yeah. So when they are locked together, the lock is meant to ensure that the omega catches or gets pregnant. Now, it doesn't mean that all alphas are male. There are female alphas. They don't have a womb, but they do have a retractable penis. Therefore, 2 alphas cannot get pregnant. And I do have a diagram to show you for that. So please go ahead and pass this around. And please note the lack, just really, really look at this diagram. And you will find the retractable penis.
While you guys are looking, have you ever had a moment in your life you're like,
oh, I have it
how
here.
did I get here?
It's okay. I have it here digitally.
Dude,
Here you go.
Oh my God.
Right?
hang on. So
This is canon. This is canon to the Omegaverse.
in the Omegaverse, do alphas ever hook up?
I'm sure they could, but they just can't get pregnant.
Oh, so the retractable penis is hidden behind the clitoris.
It looks like the lining of the vaginal walls, but that comes out.
But they don't have a uterus.
They don't have a uterus. Those are, if you can tell, those are semen.
I see seminal vehicle.
Yeah, and they have testes where their ovaries are supposed to be.
So how long did it take you to draw this?
This was found on the internet. Someone did this for free. And what's very interesting is that female alphas have a prostate. I don't know the reason for that. But you can also see the knot right there on the male alpha.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Very fun. Very fun.
Why do the alpha females need a prostate?
Exactly.
And why is it behind the penis?
Probably to put it in the butt.
Stupid question.
No, well, alpha
what?
ladies,
In the butt?
where the V is a P.
Right.
It comes out. It's kind of like a scare
Okay,
tactic.
this is just for real question. Do women not have a prostate?
No.
Well, I learned that today.
That's why it's God's joke that he put the prostate.
Yeah, my
the
clit's
male-
in my butt.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to talk to me about intelligent design?
It's prone to cancer and 2 inches up the butt. It's the perfect design.
So depending who you speak with, this is either the second or the third in command, which are betas. These are just normal people. Honestly, there's no way around it. These are just normal people. They have a weak scent. Their glands don't secrete. They can't reproduce with omegas. They can't get an alpha pregnant. The female betas, when they try to reproduce with an alpha with a knot, it is extremely painful because knots are only meant for the omegas because they built like that. They can take that shit. But it's for some reason in certain canons, it comes up that beta scents can calm alphas and omegas. So they're like the boner killers of society. They're just the gray blobs that walk around, right?
Ouch. Jesus.
And they're the majority. So here we get into the contested kind of categories of Omegaverse because they don't always reappear. So we have deltas. There's typically only one in a group. They're territorial, they're possessive, they're just as bad as alphas, but they're little bitches to their alpha. And for some reason, it always comes up that they smell like nature. That's something. Yeah. When a delta is presented in the story, they're the second in command to the alpha, and then it's a beta. Then we have gammas. These are very rare. Sometimes they're used in plot points to be a backstabber. They're pretty much the same as omegas, but they don't go into heat. They don't have sweat glands. They're mostly shown to be maternal objects or ships in a plot. So male or female, they're usually like the caregiver. Don't know what that means. But we're getting into the juicy one, the omega. They're typically the lowest ranking. They go into heat, which is a horny craze that increases fertility and the ability to catch a knot. During heat, they're extremely aroused to the point of pain where they need to be fucked. That's the point of contact. They need to be fucked. And this is where it becomes a slippery slope of rape and gang rape because they don't want it. They've always expressed in the stories they don't want it, but it happens.
But they need it.
But they need it, but they don't want it. They really don't want it. Their glands will secrete a scent to entice a strong alpha. Symptoms include irritation, arousal, high body temperature, labored breath, or slick. Just slick, yeah.
What is the slick?
We'll get into that.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
sorry.
Patience.
What do you think it might be?
I was about to say that's pretty self-explanatory.
There's a whole bunch of twists and turns here, so
Yeah.
I feel as
Take
though
the diagram, I do.
there's
Take the
gonna. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of like, or so you thought. Dun dun dun.
It's going to be pretty straightforward. Okay. So female omegas are pretty much the same as real-world womb carriers. However, male omegas have an anal cavity that's connected to a womb. And when a male omega catches the knot, they can get pregnant. Traditionally in stories, they have C-sections, which is understandable, but natural birth is possible. So I want
Butt
you...
baby.
Butt baby.
You have a C-section out of your ass.
It probably has to be through your spine or your side.
I was going to say that sounds like a...
Yeah. But
It
I
just
do
sounds
have
like a
little diagram.
malpractice suit waiting
Oh,
down.
I have
These
another
are-
diagram. Great.
Yep, these are female omegas. It seems pretty self-explanatory. If I were to look at this, be like, yep, that's my womb. But I want you to pay very, very close attention to the male and tell me what's missing from the male. What's missing from this guy? What's the difference between these two dudes right here?
Am I saying
Testes?
no penis?
No balls. No
Yeah.
fucking balls. Yeah.
Penis is smaller, too.
Yeah. Always. The penis is always going to be smaller, and he's got a straight up uterus. He's just got a uterus
Yeah.
in his butt. No prostate. He's got testes. No sperm glands. So this man is shooting blanks.
But he can ejaculate.
He can. Yeah.
And he probably does.
Yeah, but he can't get anyone pregnant.
And so this is the male omega.
Yep. This is the dude that has the baby.
Right.
So this is MPreg. It's very simple. Someone drew this out.
Yeah.
This is very
thank
good
you for the
quality
diagram.
drawing.
I mean,
Please
this-
present it to the camera, Joseph.
Yeah, this is MPreg. You're welcome.
Have you guys watched the newest season of Big Mouth?
No.
It's quite good so far. But
Does MPreg show up?
well, Maury, like the hormone monster, like the main hormone monster, he actually gets pregnant from the other like hormone monstrous.
Oh, they
whatever.
must have been dipping
It's
into the
Omegaverse.
Omegaverse.
I would have thought, I was like, oh, that's a funny bit that they're doing here, because
No,
he
he's got
like
a
shoots
uterus
a
in
butt
his
baby
ass.
across the room at like a baby shower for him, you know. And in that moment, I'm like, haha, that's a funny bit. But now you're telling me all this, I'm like, holy shit, they got to be pulling from this, because the whole point of that show is, you know,
I'm gonna beat them.
sexuality.
So rapid fire.
Hang on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do the Omegas have birth control in this universe?
It doesn't sound like
Birth control.
I'm pretty sure birth
They
control
have
doesn't
suppressants.
exist here.
Yeah, I've not come upon birth control, but suppressants, because it seems like the heat is what gets you pregnant. So it's
And it also lures all the
So I
alphas.
guess if we're
Yes.
talking about birth control, then a delta would probably be that.
Yeah, like I guess you
Right,
just gotta hang out with a whole bunch of deltas.
Do they have condoms in the Omegaverse?
No, they have deltas.
It's never come up.
Think about it.
It's never been a point
Yeah,
of
that's
conversation. Like healthy sex life has never been brought up in any.
Yeah, none of
these
this
universe.
sounds healthy.
No.
Emotionally or physically.
Yeah. Does anyone need a round of a palate cleanser?
I do.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
while you're taking that, I'll just do a rapid term. So, slick, we've talked about it quite a bit. It's the secretion of a substance from an omega during heat. It's a self-lubricant, and it's known to be sweet to the taste.
Run that by me one more time.
Slick is a substance that's secreted during a omega's heat. It's a self-lubricant, and it's sweet to the taste. How do I know? I don't know. It's in everything.
They
It's-
just say it in the. In
Do
the
they say
fun
like how
stories.
sweet? Like is it like?
I'm sure it's like lube sweet. You know, it's like tasty.
Like honey or like strawberry?
It's up to interpretation. I think it
Open
depends
to
on
interpretation.
Yeah, I think if you find your perfect omega and you bottom out, you'll know what it tastes like.
I like my slick to be apricot flavored.
Oh,
Ooh.
exotic. Oh.
That's so funny that you brought that up, because I was also in Big Mouth just the other day.
Okay, if you're an Omega, what's your slick taste like?
I do like apricot, personally.
I think my slick kind of tastes like oranges, like vaguely acidic but sweet, like oranges and chocolate.
I don't want to give it any more thought.
I'd go for a nice Nesquik strawberry milk flavor.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. The amount that courses through my body at any given time, I
Yeah.
think it's gonna.
I'm thinking it's like coffee ice cream for me.
Interesting.
I would taste your slick.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that be a little like bitter?
I would if it tastes like coffee ice cream.
Holy shit! Can
I
you-
would totally impregnate
Hey,
you.
I got some coffee. I ran out of creamer. Can I
Who's
use
got the
some of
Can I
creamer
this
use some of
slick?
your slick? Can I just
slick?
drag my ceramic coffee mug across your gaping man vagina and get some of that sweet, sweet man
I
slick?
swear I'm not an alpha. I'm not gonna. I'm not
I'm not
really.
gonna fuck you, dude. I just need to get my coffee a little less bitter.
So marking.
Hold on, I want to know what Grant's
Yeah,
slick
yeah.
tastes like.
Grant, what you
Yeah,
got?
go ahead.
You know, honestly, I'm a big fan of like the combination of like mint and chocolate. You know,
A mint chocolate ice cream.
yeah, like mint chocolate chip, or you know, like a York. You know,
Oh, refreshing.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
which is also a fun homage to a buddy of mine that just can't fucking stand the flavor of mint and sweetness. You know,
Yeah, I
thinks
mint
people are-
chocolate. No, it's
Yeah.
trash.
They don't go together.
No,
You're
thank
right.
you. God, mint is for toothpaste, not for fucking ice cream.
I mean, it can be for both, probably.
Oh, who wants to claim spicy chocolate? I feel like someone could claim that one.
Oh, that's
That would be
a good one.
Spicy chocolate, a
I'm
little
not-
picante.
It's not me. I don't like chocolate too much, so I know I'm not going to pump out chocolate.
Damn.
spice and chocolate, like a spicy.
So marking, which is very interesting, what comes up in every book, is basically marriage. It's when an alpha and omega bite the junction between the neck and the shoulders. The bite means that your scents mix together. And it also shows everyone else that the omega belongs to you. So it's your property now. You own them.
Which is interesting because I mean, if you think about it from like a natural standpoint, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
humans claim
Yeah.
to have evolved past that, which is probably why we're utilizing this in a fan fiction sort of
Yeah.
standpoint.
With the marking?
Yeah, it also comes as a way to deter other males, alpha males, from raping you during your heat because they don't smell appealing to you. It's almost like you got the wedding band on.
Yeah.
You're dead to everyone.
So is it they piss on them or they
they
bite?
they bite your neck.
Sorry, you said marking, and I was
Well,
thinking
marking.
animals. Animals mark their territory with pee.
Well,
Am I
yes.
crazy to think that pee's involved in this? I don't know why.
It hasn't come up in any of my research, but
How
dare
has
you,
piss
Joseph.
play not come up in this? Yeah, I'm so sorry that I marred the presence of this wholesome, sweet, loving, Hallmark-esque bullshit. My God.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, but biting is somehow sexier. So
Can alphas mark more than one omega?
no.
Oh, so it's like a twofer.
that's kinda cute.
It's an eternal marriage, and depending on what you read, it's almost like mind reading. You know what they're doing, you know where they're at. If they're in danger, which happens a lot, you can save them.
This just sounds like abusive Mormon relationships.
I was going to go with cute, but
Well-
you're also correct.
Yeah.
It can be both.
Yeah. So heat, we've talked about a little bit. It is a period of time, it's a period of time that an omega experience is almost like a period. It's the point of trying to get pregnant. It's best if an omega has a trusted alpha or is locked inside somewhere in order to contain other alphas because they will get raped. They will definitely get raped.
Even if they're marked?
No, not if they're marked. Unmarked.
Quick question. I'm sorry, but if an omega's marked, right, and an alpha kind of looks at him and is like, I'd like to have that be my omega. Can they mark them and like erase out or cancel out the mark that was put on them previously?
Yeah, this comes up quite a bit where you mark the person that you're not meant to mark, but the mark
Yes.
never goes away.
Yes.
So it's basically like a divorce. It's honestly like a shame on divorce now that I'm thinking about it. It's very religious.
Huh.
You can never mark your new partner. You can just live in like that elderly couple that is like common law marriage but can never actually be married. That's basically what it is. You can only mark one person in your life.
Okay, let's say Grant is a raging alpha, and I'm the omega. And then
Grant's knot is all up in Jamie.
and he marks me. And then
Sorry, Joey.
it's like, that sweet, sweet caramel skin. I need it. Can he kill Grant and then mark me?
So if Joey were to kill Grant,
Go on.
you could technically in canon you could die. You could die. It's more than just a marriage. It's a merging of souls.
So if I
Damn.
killed Grant, would his mark on Jamie disappear?
No, he would have a high likelihood of dying, and if he were to survive, he's just vibing. Eternal widow.
So it's like Hancock.
It is kind of like Hancock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Interesting.
Man,
Yeah. Oh,
I was
actually,
not
Hancock-
expecting a Hancock
Not
reference.
Highlander
Well,
rules.
Hancock is very much like twin flames. Like the closer you gravitate towards them, the more destructive you become, which is very poetic. The farther away, the stronger. Heat is, he can cause a lot of rape, especially gang rape, which is a big trope within this area. Specifically, where the Omega leading lady is about to get gang raped, and her savior Alpha comes and gets her.
Is she gang raped
Oh.
by other alphas, right?
Other alphas and sometimes betas. They're basically humans, but especially if you're dealing with like deltas, they'll for sure go for rape. It's
Are they perceived as good or bad for doing that? Or is that just
it's common. There's many stories where an Omega goes into heat and someone rapes her. Well, it's not considered rape in the book, but it's like they have a moment of passion and the Alpha marks her and she lives her life in shame and regret and she becomes like a spinster and the Alpha hates her. It's very common. It is very common, unfortunately.
So it's seen as like they were in heat. Mm-hmm. So like, what was I supposed to do?
Right, because the Omega may not want it, but in that state, she's in so much pain, and it's basically an animalistic urge. She has to fuck. So there's no way to give consent. So it's always going to be rape. That's the non-con in this. They don't call it rape. They call it non-con, non-consensual.
Right.
Or dubious consent. It is a term, and a rut is the Alpha version of a heat. It depends on the writer where it comes from. If an Omega is in a heat, an Alpha will go into a rut. So that's where it kind of comes in, where if an Omega is in a heat, an Alpha will not stop until he's just boned the shit out of her. And this is typically very prominent in male to female stories, sometimes male. Unmarked Alphas will search for unmarked or unbred or virgin Omegas. That seems to be a very big thing. Unmarked and virgin Omegas. So very sexist.
Man, an emphasis on virginity and like single placements, like duet, like, couples.
Yeah.
And then like a divorce chain, like even so smutty, it's like so Puritan in some ways.
It is very much on you find one and you're done.
Yeah.
Which, not to keep on like the idea or maybe even a trope of the fact that this is primarily, like we said earlier, written by women for women, right? And so just thinking about that concept of, is this just something that's so entrenched into society that women are finding this arousing, or women feel, not necessarily a compulsion, but just the idea of wanting to write within this framework, and the fact that it then becomes popular is just, I don't know, it's very interesting to me.
Yeah, I think when you're reading it, you don't see the nuances of it. It's only when you really step back and look at all these terms. It's basically, when you're reading it, it's a female in a dangerous situation. Mm-hmm. Her shining knight comes to save her. Oh, her shining knight might actually be her soulmate. Everything's already figured out. But I don't want a soulmate. I want to live my life and be a writer in the forest. So that's the duality of it. Not all novels follow the trope of they live happily ever after. Usually the Omega doesn't want to be bred.
Sure.
And that's where the forced pregnancy comes. Like it's a heat of a moment.
Bam.
She knots. She's pregnant and she's like, fuck.
This is brutal.
The most disgusting part of it is when the Omega's pregnant, they call them pups. Ugh.
See, going back to dogs
Pups.
over here.
And depending on who you are reading, there's multiple. It's like a litter. It's like a litter of pups that just pop out of you.
Do like the vaginal canals in this world work differently?
No, Omega females are basically the same as women.
There you go.
If you have any questions about anything that comes up, feel free to chime in. But now we're getting into the actual lawsuit that came up to try and fight and claim possession on this framework, which is crazy. So we have to start with Addison Cain. So it's we know very limited about her because she uses this pen name, but I know her real name, and I will tell you what it is later on. But you have to wait till the end.
Fuck you, Mom.
I fucking hate you. All right. We do know that she grew up in Orange County, California. She's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, she's a babe, but she looks like a pick-me girl. So fuck you.
What's a pick-me girl?
A pick-me girl?
Like pick me?
Yeah, it's like the type of girl that's only okay. So have you ever heard a girl like, this is awful, but have you ever heard like a girl say, I just can't have any girlfriends. There's so much drama. I only hang out with boys because it's so simple.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you got a girlfriend? Am I still going to be your best friend? Or you'll go up, like a pick-me girl will go up to her best guy friend's girlfriend and be like, oh, this was like a boys' night. I didn't know you were going to be here. This is a boys' night. So you getting it? You getting it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So 2012, she's out of college. She's 25, presumably. We don't know. We just know that a couple of years have passed. She's living in Japan. At this time, she's currently collecting research for her academic journal and thesis on indigenous Japanese religions. And she is volunteering at shrines or place of worships to gather this data. We have no idea if she finished that thesis. We have completely no clue, but she was just in the thrall. Obviously, Japan, if you're a foreigner, can be very lonely, and English literature was very expensive at the time. So she turned to fan fiction. She found herself becoming a huge fan of the Dark Knight trilogies. A huge, huge fan. She could not help but really devote her writing and her fan fiction to her one and true anti-hero. Can anyone guess her favorite character?
Batman.
No.
Riddler.
No. Bane.
Oh.
Ah, that makes sense.
Bane.
Yeah.
It has to be Bane. That
Right.
he's ripped. He's super alpha.
She wrote the
I lived in the
raunchy-
darkness, Batman.
He literally says that in the book. Yes, she uses that. She uses that over and over again. So with Bane as her anti-hero heartthrob, she gained huge popularity, like big stardom. She was a big deal on the fan fiction forums for her raunchy sex scenes with Bane. She was just going off the charts with it.
Hang on, is she banging Bane in these short stories?
I haven't searched, but there's something called UN, which is just a Y/N, which means your name. So when you're reading a fan fiction, they'll just put YN, and you have to substitute your own name into it.
That is so
Very impractical.
badass. That is awesome.
So you're reading a story about yourself and Bane, but sometimes there's something called OCs, which are original characters that they'll put into it that are not related to the story at all, but they're a way to just kind of go along with it. We don't really know what happens after this, after she gets her big break, but we do know that after a while she gets married and she's living in Arlington, Virginia. She's a bartender. She's unhappy. She doesn't like what she's doing. And she's got a plethora of writing material. She just wants to get out to the world. She started sending out manuscripts for a year. No one wanted her. No one wanted her to send those, her friends and family. No one wanted her to send those manuscripts. No one wanted her to become a published author with these raunchy books.
Can't imagine why.
Right. So, but she found a publishing house called Blushing Books.
Yes,
Blushing Books.
Yeah.
She sent it in one afternoon. The next day, she got a contract. I'm sure that person ate that shit up.
At
They
Blushing
ate that-
Books? Oh, yeah.
We're going to be
Blushing Books.
rich.
So all she did was she hit Control F, and then she replaced Bane with Shepherd. So the fan fiction you just read at the beginning was a Bane fan fiction originally.
Oh, shit.
That's Bane fucking a woman. Living in the darkness. Grew up in the darkness.
You merely adopted the pre-cum. I was born in it, slathered in it.
You upset the dog.
Yeah.
See what you did?
I'll read it.
Okay, so she saw the Dark Knight trilogy and just got fucking...
Horny for shit.
Yeah, horny as hell.
Just
Slick for Tom
Slick.
Hardy.
Is she's still alive? Because I feel if she saw the newest Batman with Robert Pattinson, like I think it'd be like,
She'd melt.
yeah, like
I mean,
no,
like
he's too
Nirvana
sensitive.
song, makeup.
yeah.
no, she likes the hard man, you know?
Oh, she doesn't like the soft
determin-
boys.
No. The new Batman, that's an indie boy. That's someone you hug.
Yeah,
I
With his
like
little-
I like the new Batman.
Oh, he's fine. Yeah, he's good.
I
was
like
badass.
the
yeah,
Batman.
it's good, but not for her. Not for
Not- yeah,
Addison.
you're right, not for her.
Addison
No,
Cain.
not for Addison Cain. Her pen name. I don't know.
Batman is an Omega. The new Batman's an Omega. Sorry. I just.
This is going to be the rest of your life now. It's just turning things into this category.
Who would be his alpha though? It would
It's
be
definitely not the Penguin.
It would be the
No.
Catwoman. She would
Oh,
definitely-
yeah.
Yeah.
She definitely was fucking.
Was
him
it
on the
Zoe
side.
Kravitz?
No, yeah, she's so.
Yeah,
hot
she can
now.
be the alpha.
Yeah,
That's fine.
Yeah, with her
Or no,
retractable
Gordon.
penis.
Oh,
Gordon?
Gordon, really? Just because he's the most one-note character in the whole movie.
I can. Yeah, Catwoman would be like a delta. She's not all the way there, but she's got all the strong notes. So once she got this publishing deal, she was just pumping out books at record speed. You know, one would question how did you
Okay,
get this?
Batman is an Omega, and so is the Riddler. Like I'm writing this fan fiction.
Riddler?
This is good. This is I'm on a hot streak
yeah,
right now.
Yeah, comment.
There's
comment down
two
below.
Omegas, and like there's
I don't know if I've ever seen that, but yeah.
and they're
okay.
fighting for one alpha.
Interesting.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, very interesting. Very new grounds. You know, maybe you can copyright that.
Ooh. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's hear about this copyright lawsuit.
So it's very common in this sphere of fan fiction turned writer to do something called filing the serial numbers, you know, like something you do with a gun, you know, you clean slate. So basically it's not good. It's very frowned upon, but she was basically repurposing her old fan fiction, taking it down from the site, and then just pumping it out on Amazon.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
going for
that
it,
makes
right?
sense.
So now that Shepard, not Bane, was her leading man, she published Born to be Bound in 2016. It was one of the early books of Omegaverse to feature a male-female relationship, where Omegaverse was predominantly male-on-male. Obviously, because of the whole MPreg, that's a big plot in Omegaverse. It's not very hetero. So she claims that she created something called HET, H-E-T. So she literally took the gayest thing you can find on the internet and turned it straight. That's all she did, basically. In the story...
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Born to be Bound...
you know, there's just too much gay stuff out there. You know,
they can't have it.
The
They
heteros
can't have it.
We're underrepresented in...
Finally, something for us straights.
Yeah, finally, it's coming together.
I
for us.
mean, really, like, let's all sit here and think about real quick. What about the straight white man? I mean, come on.
When will it be my turn?
Exactly. Well, really feeling it in a room full of men.
Ugh, so stupid.
So, I mean, her book is based on apocalyptic future where it's constant war. Omegas are dying at a rate because of illness, famine, you know, whatever. Didn't really look into it. Don't really care. Claire's an Omega. She takes suppressants. She's permanently bald in certain areas, so she doesn't secrete her glands. She masks them as a beta male, and she's discovered within seconds, literally page six of the book. So hetero is very interesting. Well, I call it hetero, but it's called het. Hetero is very interesting because het is very violent. It's very rapey. It's very forced. There's a very common trope where the man will force the Omega to stay in a room, like a very Rapunzel kind of thing, which is very different from MM, which is male-male love, where it's very gentle, very loving. It's typically a story of building a future together, building a beautiful pregnancy, a beautiful child. And it's very interesting, especially with her being in Japan, because Japan has a very, very big manga trend of male-male love. And I have come across webtoons and mangas of male-male Omegaverse. And so on my experience, that's where I thought Omegaverse came. I thought it came from the sphere of Japan, and I mean, they've always been into gay shit since, like, as soon as manga was created, it was just gay off the bat. And I'm sure that had some sort of influence on her. I'm saying this because she's going to copyright this. She's going to want to copyright this. Do you feel like she owns this stuff?
I mean, if there's a lawsuit, I'm going to guess whoever was in charge of copywriting it was just like, you know what? Let her have it. Like, I feel as though, like, you know, if you were like the copyright agent, you'd just be like, you know what? Just let it. I don't want to read more. Do you want to read more? Because I don't want to.
That seems like Laura being like, sure, let's see if we can do it.
Yeah.
If we fight this in court, we're going to have to read a lot more of this. Yeah. And I don't really feel like doing that.
Well, too bad.
You do understand that this is all going to come out. It's like, yeah, no, I want. Okay, fine. Yeah. And my retainer just went up.
So typically on like the online forums, male-male pairings of Omegaverse are the most popular. And I can kind of see why straight women are more attracted to this, because we do see a trend of straight women typically watching a lot of male gay porn. I have researched a little bit into it, and it has to do with a visual confirmation of pleasure, right? Like, women can always fake it. There's no real expression of an ending. But when it comes to a submissive male, there's always an ending. You can always tell if he enjoyed it because he came, right?
Sure.
And there's always someone who is more feminine and more, you know, it doesn't seem too harsh, right? And it can kind of appeal to a straight woman watching gay fantasies, because it kind of alludes to the fact of it's not fake, it's an actual real pleasure. Addison would later state that het.
Just keep going. Right?
I'm on board. I'm hearing you.
So
they splooge, they're done.
no.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is men are so good at love that women just want to see men do it.
No, men
Now
are
we're
so
just too dumb
bad
to
at
fake
love that women need to reassurance that they can actually do it to someone else.
We're just too dumb to fake it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Is that it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually it. It's confirmation that he was actually good at it. It's a visual confirmation he can make someone come.
Yeah.
It's a visual. So Addison would later claim on a Facebook post, of all places, that the reason why Het Omegaverse was so violent is because she's a strict non-con dom writer, which is rape, and everyone's just stealing off of her ideas, right? And this is early on in her novel. I have not researched far into Het Omegaverse. I don't know if that is true, but I do know that she's not the first to publish an Omega book. In 2008, the first Alpha and Omega novel, which is the title, Cry Wolf by Patricia Briggs, came out, and the first ever Omegaverse male-on-male book was published in 2007 called With Caution. And then we get to our another leading lady. We have Zoe Ellis, right? Who is a London school teacher by day. And
Yes.
she moonlights as an erotic
Yes.
Arthur.
Yes.
J.K. Rowling. All right.
She's a London gal. So she's actually has her own.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry. She's a turf. I just want to fuck with her.
No, I'm all in favor of that.
So Zoe was actually pretty good at what she did. She made her own publishing house called Quill Inks Books. She began reading fan fiction in 2006. It first started with Harry Potter. She would not explain what other...
J.K. Rowling. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
She would not go deep on what other fan fiction she read, but she said Harry Potter jumped around, landed with Sherlock. She specifically called out Benedict Cumberbatch Omegaverse fan fiction. Oh, wow. Now, you tell me. Is Benedict an Omega or an Alpha?
He kind of strikes me as an Omega.
He's an alpha
Omega?
to me.
Yeah. Who's going to be the partner? Who's going to be the partner?
Watson.
Harry Potter.
No, Harry Potter's
Is that wrong?
definitely an Omega too.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? Oh, I think his alpha would be Draco.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Just a shit ton of slick everywhere.
So my sister's rewatching Harry Potter. I've only seen the first one.
Harry Potter's
What's
good,
wrong with
yeah.
you?
I read the first book and I watched the first movie and I was like, I
That's
got
it?
it. Like, I got the picture.
I think the plot varies extremely after that, but
She's watching it now, and I'll come in the room while she's watching it, and I like. It's really fun to just walk in mid movie and be like, "Is that Voldemort? No, that's a tree. Is that Voldemort? No, that's another."
Shut
guy."
up! You've got a fun little bit with your sister.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
hates you so much for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's perfect sibling
Yeah.
situations. So you did good.
Did you know that? I just assumed Harry and Hermione would just.
well, that's what a lot of people
No,
thought.
they're friends.
No,
Well,
Hermione
didn't she-
was treated as a present to Ron
Yeah.
for
Didn't she say
being
she
redheaded
regretted
and
that or
poor.
something?
Yeah, she did because she originally was going to give Hermione to Harry, but
true.
everyone already was
Expected
assuming
it,
that,
yeah.
so she diverted the plot and she regrets that.
Which
It is random.
You know what? I'm going to say it right now on the air as Sally Saltwater. Hermione should have ended up with Draco.
damn.
Hot take.
You want to know why? Hey, I'm grabbing
Hot
the
takes
microphone
over
right. You want to know
here.
why?
Uh-huh.
Because on the 20-year anniversary, Hermione, I don't know their actors' names. Don't really give a shit. Hermione, the actress Hermione,
yeah.
and the actor Draco admitted they had crushes on each other when they were filming
That's
the
true
movie.
while they were shooting. Yeah, that's true.
There was so much sexual tension.
Okay, so I just want to say, like, I feel bad for Ron because, like, Harry Potter, like, bangs his sister.
Emma Thompson. There we go. I got it. That's Hermione.
Go on, Jamie. Emma Thompson. I don't know. Like, I think it's a little bit weird. Like you have a sister, and you're like, I would never like bone your sister because it would. There's too much there, you know?
Oh, that you would never bone my sister?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it'd be a bad idea.
I would never bone your sister.
Yeah, it'd be a bad idea.
I'm really happy to hear y'all say
Great, yeah, great. This
Yeah,
is coming
but, like,
out now.
But if
Do
they
you-
wrote the Hermione, then they wouldn't have did the sister thing, right? Like if Harry ends up with Hermione, then the plot would.
Yeah, it would
Ron.
continue.
Then Ron would end
yeah.
up with Jenny, his sister.
No,
That's what I said.
No, Ron would end up with the chick that ends up getting killed at the very end. The one that
Cedric,
the one that was like in the
the one
in
who
the
had that
Goblet of
crush,
Fire.
that
Yeah,
had
yeah,
a
yeah.
huge crush on him.
Yeah, yeah. They killed her off eventually. They couldn't leave a loose thread.
Her name straight up was something like, and then like the
little-
one Indian girl's just like Patel,
Yeah,
like
it's
because
way
they never
too
come up with
unusual.
another
Yes.
last name for Indian
Yeah.
people. Like, come on.
That is literally like naming him Smith. I mean, Patel is Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you reread Harry Potter, you're like, oh, this is just
Oh, yeah.
Harry ends up becoming a cop who doesn't make any systemic changes, who doesn't refute Voldemort's promise.
And then we
or-
find out
he
he's-
doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
he just reasserts the status quo, and
shit, you're really
they just
right.
introduce the fact that elves are slaves, and everyone's like, Hermione, you fucking idiot. What's wrong with you? Some people are just happier being slaves.
And the fact
I'm
that
telling you, it's a neoliberal perspective of the world. It's way fucking
I
worse
love
than
your
you think it
usage
is.
of the word neoliberal. Fuck yes, my dude. And the fact that like
I'm sorry.
it's
No,
just,
you're right.
I'll say it on air.
like
J.K.
Dumbledore-
Rowling can go fuck herself.
Oh, yeah,
she didn't do that
Dumbledore-
good a job.
He had to die before he came out. Like
Yeah.
that's, you never left the closet, my dude.
Yeah.
You just died in
Yeah.
the closet. That's fucked up.
Hang on, who dies?
No one.
Voldemort?
No. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, yes, he does.
He was in the. That's why he's evil, because he's gay.
No,
Does
no,
that
no.
make sense?
Dumbledore.
Honestly, the worst.
Yeah, he lost his nose when he was eating ass.
He lost it in that. You can never get it back. The saddest sip. No, the saddest sigma you could find is Snape. The fact that he was like, save my lady friend. And Voldemort was like, nope. She fucking dead.
Oh, who's the? Like
It's a sad man.
Johnny Depp's like counterpart in
Are you
Temporary.
talking about Helena Bonham Carter?
Oh, dude, she's so hot in that movie.
Dude, right? Bellatrix Lestrange.
Whoa,
She's
really?
great in everything.
Yeah.
Or like, get me
Yeah?
some Bellatrix Lestrange.
Like I walked in the room,
She's
I
great
was
in everything.
Oh, yeah.
I
I'll
always
put
found
a hex on that.
oh, fuck. What was
Spicy.
What was Harry's godfather?
Oh, Gary Oldman.
Oh, what a
Oldham.
such a
Chameleon.
fucking fine fan.
Dude,
Fine
he's
man.
so good.
Yeah.
Chameleon.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
watching Professional. What's that?
Oh, The Professional?
Professional.
Leon,
We were
Leon,
talking about that
Leon the
movie earlier
Professional.
in
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Love
so
that movie.
good.
Love that.
Dude, I had to explain that movie to my sister, and she's like, "That sounds bad," and I was like, "No, it's really good. It's just the videography is technically not moral, but it's really good."
They allude to too much.
Yeah.
But he never.
He didn't.
So, like,
He did
I
it.
think.
okay, what do you think about this? I said the premise of the movie is a autistic, what's it called? An autistic assassin befriends and adopts an orphan.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, let's expand on it. 2 assassins. One with fetal alcohol syndrome and the other with autism.
Nice.
Okay.
Brutal, but
No, but I
but
bring
good.
this up because I deep dived into fetal alcohol syndrome and I
It's all
question
the
my
time with
existence.
this one.
I question my existence every day.
Often.
Very often.
She
I bring
brings it up
all the
often,
time.
yeah.
It's
A lot.
It's fetal alcohol syndrome and botulism. Like that's my top things. I'm gonna die on the Oregon Trail.
I'm
I
pretty-
thought
I'm
we were on the
almost
same.
positive.
We were on
Well,
the same scope until I found.
we all
fetal
live in a
alcohol
spectrum.
syndrome.
Yeah, it's a spectrum. Some of us are farther along than others.
Yeah. We basically covered the saucy stuff. Now we're going to cover the what the fuck are you thinking kind of stuff, right? The actual part of not true crime, but white collar crime. The worst.
The kind that goes unpunished.
It gets more nonsensical, is that what you're saying?
But not sexual. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll
Sure.
just to make it
Yeah.
like a good jumping point. So 2017, Zoe began writing her first fantasy work, which falls under the tropes of Omegaverse and Omega ticks and edgy dominance, which is just a coded word of rape. Once again, just fucking
Edgy
rape.
dominance?
Yeah, edgy dominance.
That really softens the blow.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, because she said edgy dominance, and I was like, okay, all right,
Yeah.
that sounds like Hot Topic stuff, like a cologne at Hot Topic.
That
Have
actually
you
sounds
ever
like a
felt safe there? Have you ever really felt safe there?
At Hot Topic?
Yeah.
I mean, I used to work there, so yeah, I had the keys to everything, so I felt pretty safe.
I felt like the walls were going to consume me. It was like a constant horror.
You know what edgy dominance reminds me of? Like it sounds like Blink 182's like you know how like they had Plus 44? And
Yeah,
then,
like a side project.
Yeah, like
yeah, it does.
Angels and Airwaves, edgy dominance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Solid side project reference. I like it.
Yeah.
So Zoe made a point to use very specific tropes throughout her writing in order to entice her fans who were used to this AU. Like I mentioned, what seemed like a decade ago is I used to find tropes within fan fiction to find something that I knew I was going to like. And that's what she did. She used these tropes. I put in my notes here that it's very dog whistle-y, very kind of find your folk. After a while, in 2019, she self-published under Quilt Inc. A book called Crave to Conquer, which is under the Myth of Omega trilogy, right? It's a fantasy book. It's set in kind of a medieval fantasy. Almost think of like a light flute playing in the background, very Lord of the Rings. But there's an evil Emperor Draco, who is on his mission to find Omegas. Omegas haven't been seen for 100 years, and he wants to find one in order to feel this mystical, this like real feeling that he's heard about in his writings, right?
There's a land of milk and kami somewhere far in the distance.
He knows it's some squishy in that slick, in that slick. He knows it's good.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good pun too.
Yeah. We have it doesn't help. Our first leading lady with Addison Cain is Claire. Zoe's is Kaylin. Kaylin is, I guess you could say she's a little witchy. She's a little vibin'. So she casts a spell or a haze to hide her scent, so she can spy on the Emperor's plan because she doesn't want him to find out about the Omegas. Similar to Bound to be Bond, immediately they have sex. Just straight off the bat, they have sex. And it follows a lot of the Omegaverse het, violence, romance.
And she's an Omega.
She is an Omega, but compared to Claire in the first one, she's going to the general in a post-apocalyptic world to kind of gain resources, gain opportunity, get a jump, right? And
right. So we have Shepard and Draco, and we have Kaylin and Caitlin, right?
Claire and Caitlin.
Sorry, Claire and Caitlin.
Claire and Caitlin.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Caitlin sounds like a name that a Southern mom would pick out. It's a lot of Y's, a lot of L's.
Yeah, she sounds like a submissive Stevie Nicks.
Hang on real quick. So like both of these artists like explicitly stole so much like source material, and then they're like, how dare you steal my material?
It's very interesting because Zoe came from the fact of these are tropes, these are common uses. I'm going to use them because people are going to find my shit easier. No idea who Draco is based off. I'm assuming, Drakos.
Okay.
Excuse me. In my head, I've already assumed that this is like a Game of Thrones kind of shit, but there's no way of knowing because they just, they filed the serial numbers, right? They're admitting to a crime. Well, it gets really saucy by April 2018 when MDCAs started rolling around. So Zoe was starting to get claims from her customers, noting that the books that they have purchased were no longer on their Kindle, and her titles were no longer to be found on any digital publisher. At this time, Blushing Books, which is Addison's publisher, had begun a massive campaign to remove Zoe's books by sending MDCA notices to all storefronts, based on the accusation that many of the plot lines were stolen using the het pairing that was originally, air quotes, created by Addison. From this, all of these accusations started to just roll in everywhere. Everywhere started taking her stuff down. Plot points began to go into question. Zoe didn't deny the similarities, but argued that they're basic tropes. And I have them in front of me. And I want you to guess. Can you tell me, do you think it's stealing or do you think it's just bad writing? So we're going to start with Born to be Bound, BTB. In BTB, the protagonist is the leader of a violent army that's taking over a city. Is that original thought? Yeah.
Hang on. So you're saying, is it stealing or bad writing?
Yeah. So in BTB, the main story is a protagonist is the leader of a violent army that has taken over a city. In Zoe's book, we're going to call it CTC, the protagonist is the leader of a violent army that's taking over a city. Exactly the same plot points, but is it copyright infringement or is it a trope?
I mean, I'm on Zoe's side so far. I don't think any of this, I don't think you can copyright plot devices. No, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
especially when
like you can be derivative for sure.
Yeah.
But James just steals every horror movie idea he's ever seen.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And no one, like, I'm not saying you should take him to court. You could just not watch his movies.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There's also,
Yeah.
if say someone is a fan of his, then you can say that he did that in such a way that I find appealing. Or
or you could say like he did it differently enough.
right. Or
I mean, there's
quote,
only
unquote,
some
better than anyone else.
right.
you know?
There's only so many ways to tell the same story. It's all coming from
telling the same
same
stories.
archetypes.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what we've been doing forever.
Isn't there like a thing where it's like there's only 30 original plots and everything just kind of spirals from that?
Exactly.
At least
So-
closer to 7, if I remember correctly.
So we have BTB claiming that omegas are dying off by attacks of alphas, and she's claiming that CTC omegas are dying off by attacks of alphas. But Zoe goes on to say, in Addison's book, they're hiding to survive, and the omegas are dying and rare due to a plague. In Zoe's book, they're just hiding. They've not been seen for 100 years. There's no mention of plague. Don't know the connection there.
Probably hiding because they get fucking
Big
gang raped
difference.
every time they
Exactly,
fucking pop out.
exactly, yeah. Don't want to be raped. Addison claimed that the main protagonist is searching for a missing omega to give to his soldiers. Like a horde of sex slaves, right? Addison claims that CTC, the main protagonist, is searching for missing omegas to give to his soldiers.
By the way, that's happened in real life.
It is. It is a very historical fact. You know, you can even think about the War of Roses or even the conquering of England to France, like the rape and pillage. They just rape and pillage. And that's why the Black Plague spread so much, is because they took dresses off the women they raped that had the plague, and then they gave them to their wives.
In recent history, they took a lot of younger females from Taiwan and shipped them to China for China's
Or Abu Ghraib.
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
where
yeah.
they just straight up raped prisoners.
Yeah. And even in China with the Japanese, the women that they would not apologize for, the children that they used as slaves. It's a very common trope in history.
Horrific, but very,
Very
real.
awful.
Yeah.
Zoe claims, in Addison's book, obviously they're trying to find omegas as a way to produce heirs, to continue the bloodline, to continue. In her CTC book, it's more of a connection. These omegas haven't been found for hundreds of years. It's literally just a feeling of trying something new, something that your forefathers found. Addison claimed that her book, the protagonist was hidden as a beta. And in the other book, the protagonist was hidden as a beta. That seems it's pretty common. It's basically like dressing up like a boy,
Sure.
You just dress up like a boy to get it.
Mulan.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Mulan! Oh my gosh. Addison, come from Mulan.
I had the biggest trip on Mulan, but we'll save that for later.
Hang on, what do you mean big
No,
trip?
let's unpack
Well,
it.
so it randomly hit me, right? So he says, did you send me daughters when I asked for sons? I was like,
Best
yo,
song.
he legit got sent a daughter when he asked for a son. I was like, I didn't even realize that. I didn't realize that. Am I tripping? You realized that from the get-go?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of the whole point of it.
Yeah, I never, it always went over my head.
Oh, sure.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, he was really making some lovey-dovey eyes to a dude the whole time,
Man, how do you think he felt when he found out that
It was a
Mulan was a
woman?
woman? He
It
was
was
just
a
like,
woman? Dodge that fucking bullet.
damn.
Within the context of the story or the film, obviously he was relieved,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in real life, I'm sure that shit happens
Yeah.
a lot.
I'm sure he was-
probably, yeah.
You're like, man, I'm very
It's
attracted
war.
to this
And
person.
he's like, man,
Can't
I'm going
wait
to
to
take this
find that.
dude out.
Yeah.
I'm going
Hey,
to.
would you happen to be a Omega?
Can I find your anal cavity?
So I actually was watching a video essay on Mulan just this morning. Yeah.
You can just say porn parody.
Yeah. it's-
No, like I'm being that serious on it. And the video essayist was talking about how he was bisexual. And he's saying how he loved Mulan so much because it helped him identify as a person. Like, 'cause-
Queer panic.
Huh?
Like the queer panic.
Mhm.
The kind of,
But he was also saying like, was it, who's the,
It's like Shang or something.
yeah,
like
Shang. And he's saying like,
that's
Shang.
the bad guy, isn't
Anyway, he was saying like, obviously Shang is a bisexual. And then,
that. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
it? Yeah.
And he was
I see that.
saying also how growing up he had a lot of issues identifying like what is masculinity and what is femininity. And he said the movie Mulan helped him come to terms with a lot of that at a young age.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, good. And I thought that was fascinating that a Disney movie of all things helped him with that. And he made a lot of really good points on why the original Mulan is so good. And I don't know if you've seen the new one. It is god awful.
no,
It is.
yeah.
Oh, is it bad?
It's an atrocious
Yeah.
attempt to.
Actually, I made a point to not watch it because I
Yeah,
liked the
same
cartoon
thing.
Mulan a lot.
Also,
Yeah.
they can't use any of the original music because they had no faith in it. So the original composer owns all the right to the
Yeah,
music.
that's true.
And what's really fucked up is the Chinese concentration camps of the Muslims is like a couple miles down from where they filmed
Yeah.
Mulan. So a
And
lot of
even in
people
the
were
movie, they were
"Fuck
like-
you. I'm not watching
Yeah, for
this
real.
propaganda fucking shit.
Yeah.
Dude, like even in the credits, they were like, "Thank you." To, I think is it Wuhan? Was it what region? They're like, "Thank you, Wuhan region, for letting us film here." Yeah. And everyone was just like, "Did you really have to do that?"
Like, we don't even accept cotton from there. Do you really think we're gonna accept a film from there?
Yeah,
that's fucked up.
What was it? It was like in the pandemic and time period. They had a whole bunch of Uyghurs, and like it was now common knowledge that they had these concentration camps essentially.
Yeah.
And then from that same region, I think it was like 300 pounds of human hair were sold.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes, it's because they shaved their heads. They would shave their heads, and all this hair came out. Yeah, and oh my god!
Like, how many heads do you have to shave for 300 pounds?
But on top of that, people were like making the point of like, that's what's on paper legally. What do you like?
Yes.
You need a heart in China? Dude, they had it on the low.
Fucking A, that's horrible.
It reminds me of like the atrocities of like people finding vintage like southern like plantation furniture and finding human hair into it. Yeah. And you're like, what the fuck is this? This is awful. What do you do with it? This is terrible. Because people had to suffer for that hair. Yes. Like it's not easy. It's not easy there.
That actually sounds like a really good premise for a horror movie.
Finding human hair in a chair.
I was going to say in a sofa, like you find out the sofa's haunted.
That seems like a lot of burden.
Scary sofa.
Scary sofa.
But that sounds like a lot of burden to the poor people that had to get their heads shaved.
Creepy couch.
Creepy couch.
Creepy couch.
Well, if you make it into
Write this down.
Like tusks, like it has to be like white people hair though. Like, why is this couch so stringy, so uncomfortable? It's just a bunch of blonde hair.
So, this weird little discussion off with saying that Disney movie also helped me come to terms with something myself, of being scared of apples. Okay. Sleeping Beauty, no apples.
Did you want the doctors to come by?
No apples. I don't like apples.
You don't like apples?
What about apple juice?
God, I was like, it's like, is this how you tell us? Yeah, like I'm anti-apple.
Are we going somewhere with this? Or what? Are you scared of apples?
Boo.
Carry on.
So,
sorry.
There's a lot of tropes within these two books. Zoe never denied it, but it seems to be very basic ideas of writing. Spawns from the same couple of plot lines.
I'm on Zoe's side.
Honestly, yeah. Fuck Addison.
Yeah.
Complete bitch, yeah.
I would very much recommend everyone to visit Zoe's website because she has a very well thought out website of basically her argument and very thorough resources. I just touched upon a couple of plot points, but there's about 11 pages of plot points, tropes, and overall themes that Addison claims that are hers. And she rebukes them very, very thoroughly, and she has very good explanation on them. And it's basically just a big fuck you. What the fuck are you doing?
Nice.
So
good for her.
But this is not necessarily a victimless crime. I mean, like it's literature, it's digital art. What harm can really become of this? But we have to really look at DMCA, right? DMCA is a fossil of a law. It came into fruition in 1998. It was the creation of a law when the internet was still a very young and promising source of knowledge. We did not know just then that it was a raging cesspool of suffering and exploitation. We did not know that yet.
The internet or DMCA's?
The internet.
Okay.
The internet. DMCA kind of answers the question of who is liable for copyright material and who is responsible when someone uploads copyright material to a platform. In the beginning, the best case scenario is that the platform is responsible for what their users upload to the site. Obviously, it becomes a really big problem, and it becomes almost a deterrent to create platforms where you can upload stuff because you're responsible for what people upload. So your main user, your main income revenue can efficiently and, very quickly ruin you. So that's where the DMCA comes in. It acts as an immunity to the platform if they follow a certain protocol. Let's say, hypothetically, I go to YouTube and I upload James Cameron's 2009 cinematic masterpiece.
Terminator 2?
Avatar.
Which one?
The second one has come out. Avatar.
Has anyone seen the trailer for the second one?
Yeah, it looks fucking stupid.
I haven't seen it. I'm too scared.
All right?
Yeah, now they're amphibious.
Be patient.
That's a different species, all right, my dude. Do not bring it in. They're two different
patient.
species.
It's coming.
All right. Anyway, let's say I upload this beautiful masterpiece to YouTube, and Daddy Cameron sends a DMCA notice to YouTube. In reaction, YouTube will take down all of my material, no questions asked. And that's the protocol. The DMCA notice does not need to be created or reviewed in a court setting. It is issued by the copyright owner, or what we can assume is the copyright owner, in good faith. However, in good faith, if I believe that I'm owner of this material, I can do something that's called a DMCA counter notice. So I truly believe that I am the owner of this beautiful masterpiece named Avatar. Now, the issue is isolated between me, which is presumed to be the thief, and the copyright owner. And it omits YouTube from any legal litigation at all. They're immune to everything. So let's rewind. Let's say Daddy Cammy sent over a DMCA notice. YouTube was really unsure on who owned this material, and they started an investigation. Now YouTube, because they've hesitated, is no longer immune and is now liable for the copyright infringement because they had some sort of doubt on my bootleg masterpiece because they conducted an investigation. Now, the legal responsibility, if YouTube just automatically takes down my stuff, is between me and Papa James. That's it. Companies are obviously going to just take down things once they get a DMC notice. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if they really believe it. It's going to be beneficial on their part at the end to just take it down.
It's faster, easier, cheaper. Yeah, absolutely.
So does this mean like the writer of, let's say, Pocahontas, the original like Disney movie, can they just DMCA Avatar?
A Digital Media Copyright Act.
Act. Yeah.
So,
Cool.
I mean, based on what you said about Addison, couldn't the same argument be made from Addison to Ellis? Conversely, you could say Avatar to Pocahontas. There's a lot of
Or
the same.
Dances with Wolves.
Or Dances with Wolves.
It applies to what you can actually copyright. And we'll actually get into it because copyright does not actually apply to the actual source material, right? You can't copyright history. You can't copyright a civil war. You can only copyright your interpretation and your strategic placement of phrases. You can't copyright the Civil War or Great World War II or World War I or whatever war, the Moon War that's coming up, whatever. You can't copyright those acts.
How did you know about that?
Yeah, it's my third eye. It's my Omega. Yeah. I rub a little slick on my forehead and my third eye.
Nice.
Right? So
What's it taste like again?
it's sweet to the taste.
Nice.
Sweet to the taste.
Nice.
Yeah. So these things are not able to be copyrighted because they are inherently public. The only thing you can really copyright is the certain phrasing and certain conglomerate of phrasing. So if you believe the Civil War started because of X, Y, and Z, and that's an original thought, and that's your phrasing, you have the right to copyright that. But I can go in and say the Civil War started because of ABC, and you can't sue me because I used the Civil War as a preference, right? We know who did it. We know what happened. It's free public use, right? And that's the issue with DMCA, right? What is fair use and what is a strategic sequence of words and phrases that are considered yours? Are you really going to tell me that Addison owns Slick, had a penis the size of a forearm into my vagina? Does she own that? Does she own that?
What was the
No.
What was the phrase? Something like vibrating cunt.
Her cunt sing.
Her cunt sing. I'd let her copyright that. Like,
Right.
Yeah, I guess so. But that also harkens back to, this is obviously pornography.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a pretty iconic case in which one of the Supreme Court justices pretty iconically said, I don't remember the exact phrasing of it, but basically defining art versus pornography was like, I can't describe it, but you know it when you see it, right?
Yeah.
And that,
Yeah.
it's very vague, but it is also something that just kind of hits to the core of humanity. Of, in general, you're looking at something that's high art, you're looking at something that's pornography, you just naturally can tell the difference.
Yeah.
And if I feel similarly that with DMCAs, and that like you read that, like what you're reading off the page there of like, she said this, she said this, she said this, she said this. where's the difference? There's no difference. So there's legally should be no standpoint on anyone filing a lawsuit against anyone else, right?
Yeah, and especially because I come from a background of academic journals and writing and, attempting to try and write some. A simple phrase, like a simple switch of one or two words, can completely derail any sort of claim to an article.
Sure.
You can spew the same information. The only thing you need to do is word it differently. And that's the point of plagiarism. Because they harp on it all the time when you go to college. Plagiarize one paper, you're out. Because it's so simple. You literally, all you can do is instead of put and, you can put therefore. And you're fucking golden. You don't have to go through anything. And if you especially say who you got it from, you're done. But
then you're citing your sources.
You're citing your sources, right? But then you're just regurgitating certain things. But that's the issue with DMCAs. They're not court issued. There's no review into them. And someone just has to give a notice and everything comes down. Because just to give you a spoiler warning, Addison Cain does not own the copyright to any of this stuff. She does not own any of this stuff. She has not filed copyright suits. She has not filed patents for any of it. She does not have legal standing on any possession of this at all.
Is the other lady's stuff still taken off, though?
That's the thing. So once all of this started happening, all of her stuff just got pulled down because as soon as a DMCA is noticed, it is the responsibility of the publishing or digital storefront to just take it down. Because if they hesitate, they become liable for the lawsuit at this point. They don't want that. What they want is the person who is getting accused to send a counter notice and they pay for all the legal suits.
Right.
And that's the problem. Because you never know who the other person is. Because this is digital media. It could just be a little housewife from Kansas named Sally who's just writing her heart out about getting dicked down by a wolf. And you have Addison Cain coming in and saying, that's my work. And that's not right. She's got a right to write her porn, okay?
But she does have a right to write her own porn. And I think that's like the beauty of the internet, in which kind of one of your main points of this episode is that that's not okay to have someone else claim their own fame in something and then actually go after other people that are doing something insanely similar to something that she's already done that's insanely similar to a bunch of other shit. Like, there's no reason that we both can't share the same space within that.
And it's very alarming that the fact that copies that were already purchased and downloaded were removed from people's devices. Automatically removed.
Yeah.
So people were physically searching for her material, and it was gone. And it was greatly cutting into her profits because Zoe was a new founding author. The only reason Addison Cain gained fame is because she published one book, got traction, and was able to publish another book within a couple months, riding that high of bestseller, new publisher every month. But it's because she was just filing away the serial numbers, right? She was changing the names. She wasn't doing anything. And it's technically very frowned upon to regurgitate the same material that has been free for years and then selling it because it's been free. It's been free on a platform for many years. Leave it be free and just expand on it later on. The thing we must also mention is that erotica is a fucking cash cow. It is a behemoth of revenue. It's a cash cow because a mom can read a book within like 2 days, and then she wants to read more. It doesn't matter if it's good. I've read some fucking awful stuff on Kindle Unlimited, but just because I know the character, I'm going to read the second one because I would just want to know what happens. And the terrible thing is Zoe was a new author who was gaining extreme support because she was a true fan to the Omegaverse, and now she's labeled as a plagiarist. And that's extremely, extremely damning to her career because she's now considered a liar. Her own publishing firm, which is Quill Unlimited, decided to follow a lawsuit in Oklahoma, which is very, very substantial because that's where her digital publisher is. If you don't remember, Zoe's from London, so she has to have some grounds to publish this lawsuit. In Oklahoma, she published it on the federal level, seeking $1.25 million in damages to the publisher, Blushing Books, because you have to remember, Addison didn't file the DMCAs. It was Blushing Books. And Addison would continue to claim that she had no part in publishing or demanding DMCA's. She was adamant that because her works were owned by Blushing Books, that she felt that they had a right to persecute Zoe. She had no reason to worry because she was just a simple author, right? Obviously, Quill Inc., their lawyers, felt like they had a very strong case. I'm sure we all feel that Zoe had a strong case against Addison. But the issue is there's no precedence in this. No one has ever written about erotica, fan fiction, tropes, novels of this precedent. And so it becomes a big legal problem of trying to find a needle in a haystack, which leads to very, very high-ranking authors having to read extensive wolf porn to try and figure out what's going on. And the issue is those DMCAs, even if they were filed in ill pursuits, some can go up within the next 24 hours. Some take months to come back up. And that's a big ping on revenue, especially if you're a new founding author trying to find your way. DMCAs are not immune to this kind of abuse. They're very common in this thing. Most notably, there was, thank you to the New York article, A Fraud in Wolf Kink Erotica, Rise in Deep Legal Question. They brought up an author of the acclaimed A Reverse Harem High School Bully Romance. They were sending DMCAs to other writers who were using that trope. Do y'all know what you know what that is? Yeah, I don't know.
I do not. What's a reverse harem?
Yeah,
It's kind of in the name there, but
Go on.
So a harem is when you have like a lot of women and one man.
Mhm.
So reverse that.
Go on.
A lot of men
Mhm.
and one woman.
Yeah. Go on.
Gangbang ensues.
is this just for your pleasure right now? I mean,
Yeah.
Do you need links? Do you need
Do you need the room?
Yeah. We can air it out, my man. We also have the story of Miss Hopkins.
Hang on.
which-
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but if I remember correctly, you said something along the lines of the courts would hire, I assume they would hire or jury duty some famous author to read over the material and just go over everything to be able to read a case, or like what does that?
It's a civil suit, so the lawyers have to read all the porn. It's a civil suit, yeah.
They don't tell you about this in college.
Hold my calls.
I was about to say, Lucy, hold my calls. I'm very busy all day.
And bring me a towel.
and a Gatorade.
So you also have to think about this case was filed with the Oklahoma federal courts. So you have just some poor fucking lawyers reading a shit ton of wolf porn, trying to figure out, is this a copyright claim?
Dude, this is the best movie ever.
Because the problem is Addison doesn't fucking own any copyright. She doesn't own any copyright. So it's just a hearsay. So they have to start from fucking scratch. They have to do all the copyright investigation to realize, did she create violent hetero sex? You tell me, guys.
No.
As men's with penis.
I would say she probably did invent
Exactly.
that.
Exactly.
Okay,
We've been doing that a
I'm a
while.
little stuck on the idea of this as a movie, though.
My cousin Vinny in
Oh
Oklahoma.
my God, yes.
Yeah, 100%.
You're
Yeah.
on page 6.
My cousin Vinny, Aaron Brockovich mashup.
Yes.
Fucking A. Yes.
Like the lawyer is like reading porn, and then like the wife of the lawyer is like, aren't you gonna come home tonight? Like it's our child's birthday. I'm saving erotica right now, okay? These people need me. Addison needs to be brought to justice. What about justice for our family?
I also would like to just touch on, before we continue, Cockygate.
It's just
So-
like Watergate, but
Yeah, it's not a bukkake, but so on the line of copywriting material, we had an author named Hopkins who tried to trademark the word cocky in a specific font and its usage in order to remove her opponents from using the word cocky in their titles. She was trying to remove phrases such as cocky firefighter or her cocky doctor, because she felt that she wanted to preserve her series of books called Cocker Brothers.
That's differently spelled. That's
It's not even cocky.
It doesn't even have a Y in it. It's Cocker.
no, there's no warrant to that.
Cocker Brothers, yeah. So
KAULKER.
she currently still hypothetically
No.
owns the copyright, but does not force it. So once again, we know that intellectual property applies to the protection of the expression of the idea in its phrasing. Just like I said, history authors can't copyright a historical event or what happens. It's the phrasing and original thought of the storytelling. Omegaverse works as the formulation of thousands of writers over years of work. There's no clear line of who even came up with it. Sadly to say, Zoe Ellis isn't Addison's first victim to DMCA. There's many others, and this is just one that we know about. In 2016, Addison served the Dragon Maiden, who was using certain lichen traits to base her erotica. And this comes straight from Addison's Facebook page. So if you're ready for my interpreted reading, just don't believe her hype. She was trying to be lighthearted about it all, but it was a nightmare. I finally posted about the plagiarism of BTBB by Dragon Maiden in the story in my post, which was taken down within 30 minutes. And I will post a response afterward. This is what I said. I know most of you are my readers, and I know you love me, and I trust your judgment. Do I believe she plagiarized my story? Yes. Do I expect everyone to agree with me? No. The DMCA will be the final judge of that matter. Just to say my leave, and I know you'll respect it, her response was to shut down all comments and to write this. This is the counter-argument. This isn't meant to be a snide post, so please don't take it like that. But I'm not going to stop writing because I know 100% that I'm not copywriting you. But the main reason that I'm messaging you, if I keep getting rude and threatening messages from your readers, I will start reporting them. I woke up to several messages this morning. I seriously hope that you aren't encouraging this kind of behavior, but I find that you are willing and very responsive and necessary of reporting. If you would like to discuss further, please feel free to email me. And this is where she blurred the actual author's email. So she's very dismissive of Miss Dragon. It seemed like she had a very open response of not wanting to be killed, but Addison was not willing to take that. So after all this terrible backlash, after several back and forth, Maiden Dragon pulled down all of her works from the internet at the behest of her lawyers and her safety. She then stated that she'll be filing a police report against Addison. Addison could not help but clap back, saying her fans had no reason or any sort of encouragement from her to send those death threats, but it does not seem very possible at this point. Basically, the only reason why Ellis was different than Miss Dragon is that Ellis had her own publishing firm that was willing to back her up and countersue. Addison just sent a DMCA, right? It was Ellis who filed an actual lawsuit in the state of Oklahoma. She was the one that was petitioning, filing, and suing for damages. Addison would later post several alarming messages on Facebook saying that she would, quote, one author who can bully and manipulate an author over a DMCA they sent to a publisher, stating that bullying was not encouraged through DMCAs. She also posted, I will no longer be silent. It is now time to #GetLoud. In March of 2019, Addison started a GoFundMe to support her legal fees, headed, Authors should not be sued or harassed for their publisher's rightful filing of MDCAs. She's still pushing the idea that Blushing Books was the main culprit and main reason for this legal takedown. Finally, in April 19, 2020, Addison made a Facebook post addressing the lawsuit, stating that Blushing Books had the right to file the DMCA because they are the owner of the intellectual property. It was all out of her control. This is someone's property, and she cannot interfere with Blushing Books' willingness to protect their self-interest. But a very steamy email between Addison and Blushing Books was released, where she said, I need all 3 books to come down. I don't want her making any more money.
Damn.
Brutal.
It's very interesting.
I wasn't prepared for all this legal intrigue with all this MPreg stuff.
Everything that we just went through, lawyers had to read at a courtroom.
Sure.
And they had to decide who created this.
It does make everything a lot better. Just picturing lawyers reading this and just being like,
It makes it much funnier, that's for sure.
yeah.
But I mean, in general, though, I mean, well, my first main thought about all this is, doesn't that give it so much validity? Like,
Yeah, like you can't ignore this. Like this has legal ramifications.
right? But like internet erotica, like written porn, you know, usually submitted by anonymous people, but it has so much impact on society that now the law has to get involved into it, which is an indication of like how our society is evolving or devolving. You know, whichever way you want to put it. But
it's you know, someone had an idea about like, you know, alphas and omegas and slick rivers and their little horny brain thought turned into a court case that will set a precedent or follow precedent.
Yeah.
I also would like to mention that you're wearing a Star Trek shirt. Star Trek was one of the leading founding fandoms to start fan fiction.
Oh, for sure.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
That scans.
All them horny, space ladies.
Horny aliens, yeah. So this case, obviously it's easy to fixate on the fan fiction and the Omegaverse, but it also overshadows the massive legal groundwork that these lawyers could accomplish by addressing DMCAs, right? It's the overall abuse. I mean, we see every day YouTubers claim, oh, my stuff got copyright. That's DMCAs. It's a law that started in 1998 and is still used today. It's based on old fossil foundations, and it's basically leaving it up to what we assume a copyright owner who probably has millions of dollars like Daddy Cammy and then me, myself. So it's awful to file a lawsuit. It's very improbable of any solution. This is where it gets a little confusing. So Addison admits she does not write fan fiction. To be clear, fan fiction is writings based on a universe you do not own. But Addison, in her statement, states that she writes Omegaverse, which is about a universe that she does not own. So what's the legal backing? It's so confusing.
Yeah, there's no precedence here.
Yeah. She doesn't even own any precedence of copyright to even send those DMCAs. And that's the issue with the whole process to begin with. So she does not own any copyright material. She claims it is hers. And so she starts raining down on a new up-and-coming artist, writer, who's trying to make a living. The most egregious part of it is Addison owns a trilogy. At the time that these DMCAs were filed, there was a third book of Zoe Ellis in the works. Addis made a petition to her DMCA stating she would request that that third book never be published. How can you know what's even in that book?
Man, that's just a righteous ass, greedy bitch.
It's
just
yeah.
over capitalizing off of capitalism.
It's basically saying, yeah, it's basically saying she owns trilogies.
Yeah,
no
fuck
one
that
else
bitch.
can have a fucking trilogy except
Right.
her. Because she doesn't even know what's in the book. It hasn't even been released. And
Yep.
she's requesting it not be
I'm
be
officially
released.
on your side now. Fuck that bitch. Yeah. Hardcore fuck that bitch.
When were you not on?
Rochelle.
Yeah, when were you
there we go.
pro Addison?
I'm glad you caught it, yeah.
Were you ever pro Addison?
Up until this point, he was pro Addison.
No, it's just, I was
That was
waiting.
the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was the straw that broke that camel's back.
Okay.
Not the dick? Yeah. So just to give it perspective,
Nice.
the DMCA was founded in 1998. Between then and 2010, less than 3 million suits or claims were filed. In 2017, 800 million were claimed.
God.
And a lot of them had to do
'Cause we're
with
making
digital
money on it
literature. Okay, it's very suspicious because 2010 and 2017 are very different timelines. We have
If you're
more
talking about
access.
the internet, yes.
Yeah, we have more
Yes.
access to smartphones. We have greater, cheaper internet access. It's fine. We understand. It's going to be easier to upload copyright material. But a good portion of this is digital literature. And even Amazon recognizes that it's a feud between authors trying to gain a majority or an advantage in an industry that gains a lot of money. And they can't do anything about it because the moment they investigate one DMCA, they're at fault for a lawsuit and all the legal. So they just have to take it down. And so that new artist, that upcoming artist, has to just eat the loss, eat the profits, eat the cost. And that could be millions of dollars. Because this is a cash cow.
But I mean, what would be the solution to this very obvious problem?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Well, a lot of people were hoping that this case would help set some precedents because it's very rare that you have counter notices going to court. And they were hoping that this would open up a revenue or some sort of pathway for people to justifiably petition against these claims. So let's go into the discovery of this Oklahoma case. So Quill Inc. got their hand on multiple emails between Addison and Blushing Books, proving that Addison was pushing the publishing house to rain down these DMCAs. In these damning emails, Blushing Books advised Addison that Zoe Ellis was really not hurting their sales. If they were to continue with the DMCA, it would result in worse actions, because Zoe could just change her name and continue publishing, or it would lead to bigger legal action. You know, wink, wink, foreshadowing. However, Addison continued to push, and because she was such a massive profit for this indie company, they backed her up. And they were the ones to file the countersuit against Quill Inc. in Oklahoma through their name. Addison never filed a countersuit. It was all Blushing Books. However, once this discovery was found between the emails of Blushing Books and Addison, Blushing Books quickly dropped the case. They stated that no plagiarism or copyright infringement ever occurred, and they handled this case privately with an undisclosed amount of money between Quill Inc. and Ellis. So we never got any sort of backing, of legal roadway, of any sort of groundwork on DMCAs because Blushing Books realized that they were damned. So now that Addison was left alone, she became self-published. Zoe Ellis, now you have to remember, Zoe Ellis is based in London. She decided to file a new civil suit on Addison in her home state of Virginia, under the case that her publisher was pushed to send these DMCAs through her, and that all of the digital platforms were threatened to take down her material. Many hoped that Addison would be found in the wrong and that the DMC Act would be able to be renewed and revamped to the modern era. But it did get delayed quite a bit because Quill Inc. did not have a standing in Virginia. They were a London-based law firm. And unfortunately, because of the way that the U.S. legal system worked, it was just a lot of hoops for them to jump through to find some sort of footing in the U.S. legal system as a UK base, because they didn't have the digital publishing system to back them like Oklahoma. And it just left the case super wide open. And for like a year or two, no one knew what was going on. And it gave Addison room to file a countersuit with her own publishing, stating that Ellis was accused of defamation and apparently leaving like a shit ton of bad reviews via sock puppets. Something about like YouTube reviews and sock puppets. It just didn't end well for her. And so it was just a constant loop of fighting the right foothold, trying to figure out how to even tap into Virginia law. Addison just really flat-footing it all the way through. No one was doing anything until Virginia federal law got involved, and they dismissed everything. Everything. All of it. They dismissed the claims against Addison with prejudice, as I said. And she took victory for this. She said that everything she'd done was valid, and the case against Quill Inc. accumulated to nothing. Not really taking into account that her previous publisher paid her a lump sum to Quill Inc. for the defamation. And really, sadly, it just boils down to Quill Inc. missing a ton of deadlines, not having the funds to pay for the proper lawyer, and it's just the judge getting aggravated. And Addison took victory. You know, Blushing Books already admitted no copyright infringement or plagiarism ever happened, but Addison is still running with the idea that she did everything right. And I don't doubt that she's going to do it to another publisher, that she's going to claim another DMCA, because what everyone hoped would be a great solution to a terrible law didn't get any traction. The only thing that is highly suspicious about this is that Quill Inks, which is the publisher of Zoe that was created by her, was quickly liquidated. Very, very quickly liquidated. It is very unsure what the point was because they did receive a lump sum from Blushing Books, so it seems impractical of why they didn't have enough funds to enter into the Virginia space at their law circle. It could be that Zoe was just fed up. She was tired, and maybe her book sales were not going too well. And it's a typical story of she probably just liquidated her company and just went back to being a school teacher. And she never wrote again. And unfortunately, Addison won. So a lot of fans take a big issue with not only the cliffhanger and the overall disappointment, but why the hell did Addison petition for that third book that was never published to be stopped? And she never really had any good excuse. It was basically boiled down to she thought she owned trilogies. And she just spiraled into this conspiracy theory, self-validating thought that she did nothing wrong, completely countering everything that Blushing Books, her publisher, who originally filed the suit, had said. And this case is fun, it's full of sex and wolves, but it could have set a major precedence for DMCA that affects everyone and all content creators today. It's noted as being a great issue within Amazon itself, and no one seems to be able to fix it. Quill Inks got liquidated, Blushing Books got blacklisted, no one will ever work with him, and Addison is continuing to write very saucy porn fanfiction. It seems like she won, and it seems to be very, very disappointing. And that's the end of that Omegaverse lawsuit.
Well,
damn.
Yeah. Sorry, you gonna go?
No, just fuck this Addison bitch, man. I mean, come on, dude. You can't just write about getting railed by rapey dudes that are going to hold on to you forever and just think that that's your thing. I mean, shit.
Of course.
How long ago did the Bible come out? They talk about that shit all the time.
At least 20 years ago. At least 20 years
Stephanie
ago.
could have totally thrown something at her. Been like, hey, you're just ripping off my Twilight shtick.
Yeah, for
Honestly,
sure.
imprinting is a big thing in Omegaverse.
It's
So
a
she
big
could-
thing in the Omegaverse, big thing in fucking
Mormonism.
Twilight, in Mormonism. I mean, come on. This bitch needs to get taken down a peg or two.
Yeah.
And the fact that she didn't even own any of the copyright material that she was infringing. She was basically saying she owned violent heterosexuality.
Right.
That's all it is. And
That's
maybe-
our thing.
That's.
Okay.
I mean, that's claiming
That's our thing.
That's claiming that you own the human condition.
Yeah.
But, well, first of all, Sally, fantastic job.
Yes,
Sally,
very good.
fantastic.
Very, very good episode. Loved it so much. Seriously.
No one got murdered. Maybe next time.
I
I
say
love
bring her
the idea of
back.
that. Yeah, for
Bring
sure.
her back for the femicide.
Well, but I think another thing to really think about here in general is the fact that we have technology and society, right? Like groups of people being able to communicate with one another at a faster and faster and faster rate on more and more of a global scale. It literally, like the judicial system or the legal system in general, within America or within the Western world, whatever you want to say, they're not able to keep up with it, right? And these are very real things. I could easily see a judge or a group of lawyers like that have done very well. They have very successful careers.
they're
Whatever.
probably older.
Yeah, absolutely older. Probably male.
They don't
probably
understand
white,
what they're
are
dipping
just
into.
Saying,
Yeah. Well, even in the-
is this worth my time? Fucking absolutely, it's worth your time. This is
Yeah.
a shitload of money. These are a shitload of people that are invested in this, are concerned about this, whatever.
This will have actual concrete consequences for
Yeah.
probably thousands of
Right.
It
small business owner / writers.
Exactly.
It is. It is a very big issue for those who are trying to at least self-publish.
Yeah. Whether it's porn or not, whatever.
Even in
Yeah.
the Oklahoma case, the lawyers went ham on the porn. They really were trying, but it took Blushing Books to realize, oh fuck, we're definitely gonna have to pay that $1.25 million.
Right.
So I'm assuming it's
We're talking
private.
real
It's-
money here
Yeah,
now.
it was settled out of court, so I'm assuming it's a little less, but I don't think it's a small amount.
No, that was not peanuts. Definitely way less than what the actual lawsuit was asking for, but still, we are now dealing with something that's very real. This is a very real aspect of society, a very real aspect of the legal system in general.
And I don't fault Zoe for liquidating her company and after getting that lump sum and just saying like, well, just fuck, I'm going to live comfortably and continue being a London London school teacher.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just different pen name. She could totally do it. She could find a whole new publishing with the money. She could escape. But at the end of the day, Addison Cain is still fucking at it. Do you want to see a picture of her?
Yeah, let's see it. I want to see what this lady's like.
She's kind of hot.
Is she married?
Yes. She's been married this whole time.
She found her alpha.
I just imagine being her husband.
Her husband told her
so
that to not publish her books.
I'd be so annoyed the whole time. I mean, I would not care about her publishing shit like that, but I'd be like,
Everyone,
I have to go to court
listen.
again.
You know, no hate to women, but fuck her, man. Right? What do you think she looks like? Give me your
Imagine
white, she's blonde.
white,
good bone
blonde,
structure,
probably
decent shape.
falsely white teeth.
I'm going to say huge knockers, huge fake
Oh,
knockers.
I can't. I don't. The picture doesn't show, but when I show you the picture, obviously this is an audio medium. Just yell out a number, 1 to 10. What do you rate her? Right?
She's probably like.
Do not think about the fact that she's a fucking asshole who ruins people's lives.
Honestly, I'm saying she's probably like a 7.
No, hang on. Go back. I don't want to see
Oh my god, no! I'm downgrading. She looks like off-brand Nicole Kidman.
6.5.
You know when you see somebody and you're like, maybe there's a really like cool personality and that could bump them up.
Maybe
like,
she's
big
good
points.
in bed. Yeah.
But
No,
like,
she's got to drop down.
Yeah, but like you're just a terrible human being that wants to like destroy other people for your own good.
3.
The maiden
Or
dragon
pride.
She could
took
act.
all of her
She
stuff
could
down
act.
because of this woman. She was just writing Lycan fuckfest, and she got her shit taken down.
I do see it in the eyes.
Yeah, you see the soulness of it.
Hang on. Let me see again. Hang on.
There's a definite cruelty in those eyes.
Yeah, don't escape to the bathroom with that.
Yeah,
Look at that fucking haircut too.
Has anyone anyone here seen Inglourious Bastards?
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about Bridget von Hammersmark?
The Jew hunter. This is
What?
female Jew hunter right here.
I was
Oh,
thinking more like the younger child of the Narnia trilogy, you know?
Oh, yeah.
The annoying one.
Where he
that's
like
like,
sells out his family for Turkish delights.
oof, oof.
oh yeah.
Do you know what Turkish delights are?
They're
Cigarettes.
They're just sticky shit covered in powdered sugar.
No, it's just straight up
Rose water. It's rose water,
It's
isn't it?
Jello with sugar on it. That's all it is. This
Man, he
kid-
was from World War II London. He probably was just happy to have sugar.
No, excuse me. He was living in a posh ass home, and then he got on a train and he lived somewhere else that was posh.
Yeah, no, those are cigarettes.
He was getting bombed
What the
out.
hell else are you talking about?
He wasn't getting bottomed out. He was fine.
Bombed out, not bottomed out. You are
Exactly.
too much in the Omegaverse. Sally, edit that.
After the Turkish delights, would you like some beans on some bread? It's quite delicious,
Okay.
actually.
Have you seen-
A full English breakfast is the
Listen.
best cure for a hangover.
But that's the thing. Do they even
True.
fucking toast their breads before they put the beans on there?
No.
Do they not?
No. Listen, I'm a full beaner, okay? I like to toast my bread before
Actually,
I put any
hang on.
refried breads
Technically
on
speaking, she is half beaner, and I am full beaner.
it. I was born in my motherland country. I deserve some credibility.
She's like 3/4.
You guys talking about liking beans? Because I love beans. I understand here.
You guys are just rating each other's indigenousness.
What are you guys arguing about over there?
Listen, I
want
love
wet beans over here.
refried beans on toast. But the fact that bread isn't toasted, that's a sandwich.
No.
Bread
That's
should
a
be
bean-
toasted.
That's a bean sandwich.
Also, beans are, in my book, beans
How do you
are
contain
best
the
free
liquid?
fried.
Yeah. How do you contain the liquid? If it's not fried, it's
You're right.
soggy.
You're right
it
about
falls.
that. Yeah, you're right about
When it's fried, when like the toast is toasted the perfect amount, it's just a good tortilla chip, right? Like a good. It's good.
I like refried beans and like
And like-
Pueblos Rancheros.
Oh, yeah.
I can make some
Yeah,
Pueblos
I like
rancheros.
that.
With some fucking like tortillas.
I didn't
like-
say that I didn't.
But when you just stand up for like British breakfast and you
Yeah,
just,
a full English.
it's
With
so
blood sausage?
gross.
Yeah, the most hungover I've ever been. I was at my college professor's house because she used to have us over to drink a whole lot. It was a whole thing.
Oh, wow.
But
That's a
I gotta
whole story.
I gotta crack one.
It
of
just
that. That's a
barely-
travesty.
me and my friend Pete we like slammed some whiskey before we went to bed, which was a bad idea. And then we woke up and we're just like puking and like shitting our guts out. And her British boyfriend made us both a full British breakfast. And that was one of the best breakfasts I've ever had.
Was the bread toasted?
His bread was toasted.
Exactly. See, it's good.
Because I don't know if he was Americanized or if he was smarter than the average Brit or whatever. But that was great.
Sally, do you think rice goes with breakfast? Because I don't think...
I fucking love rice in it.
Like, I don't like bread with like a Spanish breakfast. I like
and
rice.
Sometimes I get really fancy.
So we'll slowly fade off on how we like to eat food. And what a fun wrap-up, which is clearly going to be a two-parter, by the way. This is going to be a two-parter
I think
episode.
so.
So this is the end of our two-parter episode of
Murder Schmurder.
So is there a moral to this story? Like, bad people
people win out. Good people just get money and fade away.
Yeah.
If you have to take the time to actually research and change something that is systemic and destructive, it won't happen. But thanks for listening to Murder Schmurder.
Thank you for listening.
I hope y'all are horny and frustrated like the rest of us.
Yeah, because this was an utter disappointment. This is Sally Saltwater. Please contact me when you're in the Gainesville area. I'm under the bridge of I-65. And trust me, my caprices are never soaked.
She is a realtor by day and a homeless woman by night.
Yes, I like to put my dentures in my breast pocket at night to keep them safe.
It's just called being homeless.
Resourceful.
Well, don't you worry. I got cookies fresh in the morning.
And the book of mysteries closes on our heroes. Until next time, my fellow wanderer, my kindred spirit in the graveyard. We had some laughs, some scares, and maybe even learned a thing or two along the way. Think of us for your next podcast listening pleasure. Think of us when you go to sleep and the house settles and you close your eyes and you feel something poking you in your hindquarters.
If you like what you hear, subscribe, follow us on Instagram at Trashville_USA. And if there's a crime story you want to hear us cover, email us at don'temailtrashville@gmail.com. Back to you, fuckers!